We're going to go right to our top story, and that is they are awaiting the deliberations to begin in Chicago in the case of Jason Van Dyke, the Chicago cop who killed Laquan McDonald. Van Dyke testified on yesterday. The defense and the prosecution, they have rested. The question now is what is going to happen when it comes to this jury. I want to go right now to Chicago with WGN Radio's reporter. He's been with us on a number of times, of course, talking about this case. And so I want to go to him. Go to pull him up, please. Domoti Piango. First of all, how you doing, Doc?
I'm good. How you doing, Ro?
What is the mood there in Chicago? Because obviously the jury, they're going to make their decision. Certainly, folks are hoping that this jury finds Jason Van Dyke guilty of murdering Laquan McDonald.
Yeah, people are on edge. And one thing that we talked about the first time we chatted about this case was about how he was charged with first-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery. A lot of activists were concerned about that charge of first-degree murder by the former state's attorney, Anita Alvarez, because they thought he may be overcharged. The understanding was that by some attorneys, was that Jason Van Dyke didn't wake up that morning and decide that he was going to shoot Laquan McDonald, so that first-degree murder may be hard to prove. Well, in yesterday's trial, when Jason Van Dyke took the stand, a witness for the defense actually said something that didn't play into the defense's favor. It was a psychologist who said that Jason Van Dyke told his partner, Joseph Walsh, when he was on his way to attend to that shooting, that he said, well, if this guy is stabbing out police car tires, why aren't they shooting him? And he says, or why haven't they done anything? And he says, quote, we may have to shoot this guy. So he was saying this on the way to the shooting, and a lot of attorneys are really looking at that statement, seeing if that can make that first-degree murder charge stick. Another thing that the people are worried about as far as the direction that will be given to the jurors is whether or not they'll be able, even though he was charged with first-degree murder and those counts of aggravated battery, will they be able to give him a lesser charge of second-degree murder if they so choose?
And again, of course, we know in the Michael Slager, the cop in North Charleston, South Carolina, who shot and killed Walter Scott, he went to prison, but it wasn't because of the murder charge. Of course, there was a hung jury there, and he went to prison. He pleaded guilty to civil rights violations. And have we heard anything from the Department of Justice that they are going to also potentially pursue civil rights violations against Jason Van Dyke?
At this point, to my knowledge, we have not. But this is something that activists are really honing in on and talking about. They've also been talking about this consent decree, trying to figure out what's going to happen. You know, as you may recall, and you talked about it at length while ago on multiple platforms, about the consent decree during the Obama administration. The previous attorney general recommended that some action be taken in the city of Chicago because of the actions of Chicago police officers. And Jason Van Dyke case, of course, was one of the linchpins of that whole discussion, but they're still hashing out between the city what that consent decree might look like. So from that aspect, those conversations are happening. I haven't heard anything in terms of civil rights charges, though, coming down against Jason Van Dyke. I think everyone is waiting to see how this will play out in the criminal courts.
All right, Domoti, we surely appreciate it, man. Thanks a bunch, and we'll be going back to you to see what happens in that case.